I continue to assess that the Iranians don't want to provoke the Americans into a major strike. And it is within, I think, America's competence, the United States' competence, to deter them if they weren't completely risk averse and completely driven by electoral concerns in the U.S. right now, whereby the American voter does not really want to risk another Middle Eastern misadventure like Iraq and Afghanistan. But honestly, I mean, the weakness displayed by America vis-a-vis the Houthis, for example, is the kind of thing that in the Middle East only invites further attack. And the Iranian regime is sufficiently brittle that I should think that there is some leverage to be deployed against them.
The United States has really only struck back, I think, 5 times compared to almost 200 attacks by Iranian actors and their terror proxies over the last year and a half. That imbalance right there shows to Iran that they can get away with almost anything without U.S. retaliation.
Gabriel, stay with me. Dan, Dan Perry's with me in the studio.
Yeah,
ask you a question.
I wonder what you think about a possible third way. The U.S. Hitherto has been either, standing for de-escalation at all costs, as Laura said. That's a democratic perspective, or Trump, who maybe threatens a little bit and talks tough, but basically is an isolationist who's seen as unlikely to do very much either. I wonder, do you think that the Iranians would be shocked into some sort of strategic shift by a policy that basically says, we're going to continue to tolerate your oppressing your people for the next X number of years in exchange for a complete and total revision, where you end your nuclear ambitions and stop fomenting terrorism around the region? You just have to stop that. Otherwise, we will attack your nuclear sites, we'll disable your ports, we'll attack your key infrastructure, and we'll foment revolution. Now, I understand that sounds a bit pugilistic, but could it work? Do you think they would be stunned into a sort of introspection by such a thing?
Well, it sounds actually a little bit like Trump's first-term policy that he said. He's always said that he does not believe in and want regime change inside Iran. He just wants them to curtail their nuclear program, their terror support. So that, unfortunately, didn't work on the Iranian regime first term of President Trump, because at the end of the day, they believe if you're not advancing your nuclear program and you're not advancing on the conventional front, then you've abandoned the revolution and its ideological goals. Again, like most revisionist regimes, if you are not expanding and pushing the envelope, you have failed and you've really admitted defeat here. Well, I think for Iran, that makes that dilemma really powerful.
I would say Trump spoke loudly but carried a very small stick. And I'm suggesting a third way where the stick would be big. I understand your point that would undermine their greater goal of expanding the revolution, but maybe they would prefer to preserve what is.
We can see there is no de-escalation. The Houthis continue to attack global shipping and cause havoc.
It's a terrible mistake. Much as I personally sometimes come across as an extreme moderate with the Palestinian areas, I think with Iran and its proxies, I would be far harsher. I would counsel the Americans to walk away from this de-escalation at all cost notion, because it brings only escalation. The Houthis have been basically, like in a Pavlovian way, have been trained to see that they can impede a third of global maritime traffic, at least container traffic, do incredible harm to Egypt's economy, bring unbelievable wreckage to their own people. In Yemen, 400,000 people have died in the past decade that Sherry mentioned. There's been this civil war, slightly over half by famine and disease, but almost half by warfare. And somehow this is tolerated. It's beyond belief. And this notion that the Houthis are merely Israel and Egypt's problem, or Saudi Arabia's problem, or Hezbollah is just Egypt's problem, is wrong. Because in a worst case scenario, it brings about not just a regional war, but a world war, really. Because Syria and China could end up being emboldened by all this. The skullduggeries they can do are truly frightening. And if NATO exists for a reason, it is to lay down the law along the global rules of war, and maintaining the global world order for the stability that benefits everyone, quicker than this. A year of Houthi misbehavior is about a year too much.
All right. Dan Perry, Sherry Fine-Grossman, thank you very much indeed to you both.
Thank you.